Welcome back. My name's Sean. I'm your host here at Airbnb Automated. I've been a host for 5 years. I have over 60 properties on the platform, generating over $2 million per year. So in December, I got robbed. A 2-bedroom apartment was completely cleared out by a guest. All the furniture and everything was stolen, and I had to invoke the host guarantee to try to get my money back. And a lot of you have been wondering whether or not Airbnb actually paid me. Well, it's April now. I finally have an answer, and we can answer a couple questions you might want to know. What is the Airbnb Host Guarantee? What are some of the terms and conditions that matter? Will they actually pay you if you get robbed? And really, what is your exposure as an Airbnb host? How risky is it to host people in your home? Of course, 5 years, 60 properties. I have some horror stories to share, but this is going to kind of give you a level-headed, objective approach, if at all possible, to what really are your risks and how to best prevent problems and go about fixing it if you do have them. So without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so welcome back, Airbnb family. A lot of you have been waiting for this video. Sean gets robbed, $7,500 in furniture stolen. Airbnb, of course, is always Airbnb, aren't they? And how do we go about handling our host guarantee, our resolution, getting paid if possible, all of it. So let me get down to brass tacks for you because it's a roller coaster. Some tips right away, because I don't want it to get lost in the explanation, because I'm going to give you kind of my whole testimonial here. Take all of your purchases and document your purchases whenever you start a new listing. Everything you buy, document it. Photographs, copies of receipts. Do it. Keep it in a folder. Set up smart locks so that way you can lock doors and you can manage when doors are getting locked or unlocked. And if you hire somebody like I have to manage reservations in and out, that person could watch to make sure nothing fishy is going on. So smart locks are good. Wall mount your TV because it's much harder to steal if you want to prevent theft there. And make sure that you are quick and diligent in your resolution attempts. Here's one thing that I'm going to tell you too. There's a term inside of the host guarantee that says that you have to be cooperative and you agree to be cooperative, because if you're at ever one point not cooperative or combative, they can just shut your host guarantee down, right? And they just cancel the whole claim because you were like misbehaving through email, or you weren't cooperative with the hosts through email, with the host support staff through email. So keep that in mind. Keep those tips. Those are the big chunks of this. So what is the host guarantee? Well, the host guarantee is something Airbnb came up with that says that if you get robbed or something gets damaged, Airbnb will cover up to $1 million in loss. And they have this big long terms and conditions that you have to follow. If there's a link to it, it's going to be in the description for this video. And like I said, this most previous one that you have to stay cooperative, that's probably the biggest one where people will lose their resolutions, is because you get emotional. And I hate to say this, that Airbnb, I think, designs their resolution procedure to kind of like needle hosts and cause hosts to get emotional. And if you do get emotional because they change what they ask and they put you in tough spots, if you do mess up, they can shut you down. So how did this go? December, I was robbed, 2-bedroom worth of apartment stuff stolen. It was an 8-day long reservation. And so we showed up the day of checkout and everything was gone. Our cleaners took a few photos, reported it to me. I reported it to Airbnb because by the time we found out, the guest's profile was gone. Airbnb removed that guest profile for something else that they did wrong. So we started the resolution, but we could not do it through the guest. I had to call Airbnb, say, hey, I need to start a resolution, but I can't do it the normal way. So we started. Let me screenshot the email that they have for you. They want you to give them certain things. Those certain things will include, proof of ownership of stuff or indication of the item's age. In this case, since it's a theft, they don't initially claim this, but they will ask you for a police report. Okay, since it's a theft. So I gave them everything that they wanted initially. Then they later asked me for a police report. Then they ask for more stuff like proof of ownership. And then I send them Brian Chesky's interview stating that proof of ownership is no longer required. Brian Chesky said so. But they're like, no, we need something from you. And they restated proof of ownership or indication of the item's age. So then I do my best to show them, well, we started our listing less than a year ago. We got our furniture at that time, etc. They're like, that's not good enough. We need receipts or something. So I had to go dig through Amazon and dig through my communication with furniture companies to prove that I purchased furniture at that time. So, and they wanted proof that my furniture costs exceeded the amount that I was claiming for loss. I then gave them an invoice from the new furniture company when I had everything replaced as proof of replacement. I don't think that was needed, but still do that. And then they wanted more photos. They said the few photos that I sent them was insufficient to prove that it was the same room. And I told them, well, our cleaner only took these many photos in the moment, and I sent them screenshots of my correspondence with my cleaners to prove that this wasn't fictitious. But overall, the way that this worked is they changed what they wanted from me a few times. And then they kept giving me really silly deadlines, like you have 48 hours, you have 24 hours. That puts stress on the host. And so I think they do this in order to make it so that way the host could screw up, because if the host screws up, then they don't have to pay the guarantee, right? So I kept choosing my language, that I'm trying to cooperate, I'm doing the best that I can, I'm giving you everything that you asked for. And it kept coming in snippets. Then they started asking for things that I already gave them, like they missed the first email or that they were missing pieces of information. So over 20, 30, 40 emails, it kind of just became this convoluted mess. So what I did at the end, I'm like, here is absolutely everything I've ever sent you, and I'm sending it in one email. And in that same email, I said, here's the things you asked for that I could not give you, and here's why. And then here's just a recap of everything we've discussed. Send. Crickets. A few days later, I'm like, what's the update on this? Crickets. A few days later, what's the update on this? And I started pinging them every single day, emailing the same guy every day. And then finally I got a response going, okay, we're going to honor this guarantee. Yes, thank God, right? Then there's more problems. They release the payout for my $7,500 on the 10th. And that's after there's a document. Let me show you. There's this document that you claim, like, I understand that I'm getting paid for this resolution. I will not sue Airbnb or do anything else. This is final, right? So I signed this document that they make you sign. And then the 10th is when I'm supposed to get paid. The 11th, I get no payments from Airbnb for the host guarantee or for any reservations for 2 weeks. They just shut it down. I get $0. Thankfully, this was middle of the month. It's not like I had to pay rent or anything, but they essentially broke the system trying to pay me my resolution. And there was this long mess of them claiming it had to do with my minimum payout, and it had to do with the payout timeline and all these different things. And they said, just contact us in 5 days, contact us in 3 days. Well, I had to pretty much hunt these guys down and get a few offices at Airbnb involved until they could figure out the bug. And then they finally fixed the bug and they finally paid me. It was a mess, but I got paid. So how at risk are you, right? In total here, I have about 60 properties. I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've had 3 major resolution claims in the last 2 years, this being one of them. One of them was in Fort Worth. I screwed that one up because I was too busy. It was going to be for like a little over $1,000, but I didn't get a police report because I couldn't do it over the computer or by phone, which was sad. And I was in Philadelphia at the time when I tried to get this resolution done, and so I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it done in time, and I kind of missed the window. So I needed to do a better job of empowering my staff to act as employees of the company, because if I did that, then my Dallas manager could have filed a police report in Fort Worth and it could have gotten done. But I screwed that up. Then somebody stole a TV. Right, and I could have reported that, but I didn't. I just replaced the TV and moved on. At this point, some things are small enough that it wasn't even worth my time. But anytime that it's a theft, they will want a police report, and that's kind of been the kind of the sticky part of this situation. When I first hosted, like 4 or 5 years ago, I did have a few resolutions that I tried to do, and I lost all 3 of them because I didn't know how to properly do the resolution. And it's that you always will be cooperative thing. And I was always a little entitled. I'm like, your guest stole our stuff. And I was always a little angry at Airbnb when this first happened. And I think that's why I lost my resolutions. So to recap the tips here, never get impatient or angry at Airbnb. Never verbally communicate in a way that could be combative or uncooperative. Make sure you read the terms of the host guarantee. Make sure that you're swift, thorough, diligent, and persistent. Keep documentation of everything that you've ever purchased. document all the stuff that you replaced, and try to keep everything in a file for each individual apartment. So that way, if you ever need to invoke the guarantee, it's all in an organized like electronic file or something like that. There is a document that one of our viewers sent me, and I'm going to dig it up and try to leave that in the description too, of how you can list employees of your business as representatives of your company so they can file police reports for you. Do that moving forward. And get smart locks, wall mount your TV, just really practice good prevention so that way your risk of theft is lower. Another crime stat I read is that 90% of thefts happen on the first floor of properties. So if you want to get robbed less, don't get first floor apartments. That's a good one. With all that said, Airbnb will pay you if you do it right. I think it's their protocol to try to make it so that way you'll screw up, because then they don't have to pay you and they did their job. So watch out for those little hurdles and those roadblocks. And if you have questions about this, because this has been so long, I've probably missed a few things in this self-report, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I, of course, will get back to you. I hope you guys never get robbed. And I will say, take it with a grain of salt. I do not think that the risk of theft is great enough that you should really ever be concerned. If you own one home or two properties and you get robbed from one of them, then that really does feel like a significant problem, but your sample size is really small. So I guess take it from me, if you had 20 properties instead of 2 and you got robbed at 1, it would feel like less of a deal, right? You'd be like, okay, the law of averages comes into play. But no matter how many properties you have some risk, no matter what. So I think the best way to manage your risk is just get more properties. So when you do get robbed, it's, your representative sample size is larger, and your loss compared to your profits, it's less overall on average. The more money you make, the more loss you can take when you do get robbed, if it ever does happen. There are insurances that will reimburse you for loss of business, because Airbnb will not reimburse you if a guest cancels because of the robbery. So there are different types of insurances that could replace a guest cancellation in this case. I don't have that insurance because I don't think it's important enough for me, but I wanted you to know that it's out there if you care. So thank you for watching Airbnb Automated. Stay safe, keep your doors locked, and I will see you on the other side.